agreement that we've reached together.
Atlanta News First at 7 is presented with limited commercial interruption and sponsored by the Hoffman Financial Group.
Breaking now at 7, President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin are holding a joint press conference that's taking place right now in Alaska.
This is part of a high-stakes summit on the war in Ukraine. You're taking a live look at that right now. They both moved to the podium only moments ago. Of course, as we continue to watch this right now, you can listen to that full press conference right now streaming on Atlanta News First Plus. That's on YouTube, Apple TV, Fire TV, or Roku TV. You can also watch in the free Atlanta News First app.
Now it's 7 storms across Metro Atlanta right now. It is a first alert weather day. Good evening, everyone. I'm Blair Miller.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins. First alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez busy watching where those storms are headed next. Jennifer?
Yeah, and very heavy rain. Some spots 2 to 3 inches of rain just in the past couple of hours. And thankfully, things are improving. The rain not as heavy, not as widespread as it was earlier this afternoon. But it is a first alert weather day, and those rain chances will continue at least for the next couple of hours. So if you do have some Friday night plans, make sure you keep that first alert weather app handy. You want to zoom into the city because this is where some of the heaviest rain has fallen. Still seeing some heavy downpours, but notice they're much more isolated, especially inside the perimeter. Still seeing some scattered rain across DeKalb County, South Fulton County, some heavier rain in northern Henry County and northern Gwinnett County. Very heavy rain right now in portions of northeast Georgia. We do have a flash flood warning, some flooding happening there. This is for northern Hall County and portions of White County for very heavy rainfall that fell over that area. Things will continue to improve over the next several hours, but still some very wet weather in and around the metro area. As we take you hour by hour, notice after about 10 o'clock, things will improve. Some more rain chances tomorrow. We'll have more on that coming up. First, we're going to head to First Alert meteorologist Isaac Williams because we are watching Hurricane Erin.
Yeah. First storm of the season and the first hurricane of the season. Winds of 75 miles per hour, and the structure here in just the past few hours has begun to improve, and the forecast does call for steady strengthening into this coming weekend. Thankfully, it is going to make a near pass on the Windward Islands. The core of the storm should stay north of the islands, and again, strengthening up to major hurricane status over the weekend. And we're going to be seeing this potentially become a Category 4 storm with winds of 145. And the good news here is that it should pass west of Bermuda and well east of the U.S. East Coast. So it's going to be kind of recurving here, but we do expect some rough seas and riptide risk across the eastern half, and the East Coast, I should say. But notice our computer model is very tightly clustered, so we have a high confidence forecast that this will be recurving out to sea without any direct U.S. impacts.
Now at 7, a Gwinnett County elementary school student was arrested today after allegedly firing a gun at school. It happened at Meadow Creek Elementary School, where Atlanta News First reporter Niamani Watson is live tonight with more details on all this. Niamani?
Yeah, Blair, Gwinnett County Public Schools says the student fired the gun in a restroom here at Meadow Creek Elementary School. Luckily, no one was in the restroom at the time, and no students were hurt, and rather no one was hurt, I should say. But that student now faces criminal charges. Now, the school district says yesterday morning, school staff found a broken toilet in one of the restrooms. A student admitted to intentionally damaging it and was disciplined. Today, the school district learned that the same student allegedly brought a firearm to school on Thursday and threatened to shoot the toilet. The district says police confirmed the student had allegedly taken a gun from home, brought it to school, and fired it at a toilet before classes began. Again, no one was in the restroom at the time and no one was hurt. Gwinnett County School District Police Chief Tony Lockhart has this advice for parents.
As a responsible gun owner, you need to make sure that your weapon is secure and safe. And just to take it another step, any family members, make sure that there's nothing in your child's backpack that shouldn't be there prior to them leaving for school.
And police are also investigating whether the student's parents will also face charges. We'll continue to keep you updated as more information comes along. Live in Gwinnett County, I'm Niamani Watson, Atlanta News First.
Tonight, the man accused of killing a Fulton County deputy in 2022 has been found not guilty on all charges. Alton Oliver was accused of shooting and killing Deputy James Thomas. Investigators said Thomas, who was off duty at the time, was pursuing Oliver when an argument led to the shooting. But Oliver said on the stand this week that Thomas was stalking him, then sped towards him, and that's when Oliver shot him in self-defense.
At the time that you were firing the weapon, what was going through your mind?
Fear.
What were you afraid of?
I was afraid that person was going to kill me, rob me, do anything to me.
Last November, the district attorney's office offered Oliver a plea deal for a life sentence, but he did not accept it.
Tonight, one person is in custody after two young girls were shot in a road rage incident in Atlanta this morning, and police are now issuing a warning to all drivers. Officers were called to the BP off Main Street around 8:30 this morning in East Point. They say a woman was involved in an accident and tried to flag down the other driver involved. That driver is accused of shooting toward her car, hitting two girls inside. A detective says the 8 and 13-year-old girls were awake and breathing when they were taken to the hospital, but this raises concerns for everyone.
It's got to be traumatizing. I think, traffic affects everybody in different ways, but I think what everybody needs to remember is, anger management and just manage the traffic.
Police did not name the suspect, but did say they were arrested around 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Marietta police have identified the driver allegedly involved in a deadly hit and run. Christopher Bradshaw of Canton is charged with felony homicide by vehicle. Investigators tell us they expect him to surrender to police. That incident shut down several lanes of Interstate 75 early Wednesday morning. Investigators say 2 tractor trailers got into a crash. Both drivers got out, and Terrell Loudermilk was hit by a black Chevy Silverado. Police found the Chevy and then used it to track down Bradshaw.
Breaking now at 7, and back to that breaking news. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin have been holding a joint news conference. This just wrapped up here a few minutes ago in Alaska. And that's what you're looking at here in these live pictures as the room starts to clear and both leaders exit the stages.
And it is all part of a high-stakes summit on the war in Ukraine. Of course, we continue to cover this story. You can follow along with us right now in our Atlanta News First free app. You can find it on Google Play and in the Apple App Store.
Today, unsettling moments for some Cobb County students and their parents. A school bus was involved in a serious crash this morning. It shut down the intersection of South Cobb Drive and Pearl Street in Smyrna. According to school officials, a driver ran a red light and hit the bus, and this was the result. No students were hurt, but no word tonight on the condition of the other driver involved.
Well, now at 7, a live look at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's where the Falcons have just kicked off against the Tennessee Titans in a preseason game. Now, the two teams have had back-to-back joint practices this week, and this time, there's no holding back. The Falcons and the Titans both lost their preseason openers, including the Falcons-Lions game that was suspended in the 4th quarter. Now, the Falcons' regular season, it starts on September 7th.
That event comes just in time as MARTA now says their Vine City escalator has been fully repaired.
Well, last month after a Beyonce concert, multiple people had to be taken to the hospital after it malfunctioned. Now MARTA is releasing its report on what happened during the escalator emergency.
Take a look. This was that moment when you see crowds on board suddenly toppled to the bottom. Many riders told Atlanta News First it was an equipment malfunction, but MARTA maintains that the crowds caused the escalators to speed up. They say the speed led to the escalator belts separating and impacting the emergency brakes. MARTA officials say going forward, safety is top of mind.
If the riding public doesn't think the system is safe, they're not going to ride. And just period. I am very optimistic about the future of MARTA, but I also think that we can't waste any time in turning this ship around.
MARTA says it's ramping up staffing for big events and who will monitor how many people are on those escalators.
Today marks 1 week since the CDC shooting. A gunman shot nearly 500 rounds on the health agency's campus, killing a police officer. 1 week from today, the family of that officer, David Rose, they're holding a memorial for him. They have not said where yet, but the community is already showing their support. An online fundraiser has collected $500,000 for his family. Officer Rose leaves behind a pregnant wife and 2 children. And tomorrow there's a 5K in his honor. Atlanta Track Club says registration fees for their Atlanta's Finest 5K will go to his family as well. We have a link to sign up online.
Nonstop news now at 7. 4 children had to be treated by medical staff this week after eating gummies laced with a foreign substance at school. It happened at Stevenson Middle School in Stone Mountain. One of those 4 students had to be taken to the hospital. School officials didn't say what the substance was. Now, DeKalb County school leaders want parents to make sure their children know not to eat anything that they are unfamiliar with. Georgia's top law enforcement officer is sounding the alarm tonight on a new Instagram feature. The social media app just launched a new map where you can share your location with friends and vice versa. Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr is worried about public safety and the privacy of your data. Now teaming up with 37 attorneys general across the country to send a letter to Instagram, ensuring that children can't share their location and provide a simple button to disable location sharing. It's important to note here that Instagram says your location is off unless you specifically opt in to share it. If you're a parent with supervision settings for your teen, you can see who they share their location with and when.
Nonstop news now at 7. Water rate hikes in DeKalb County going into effect today. But there is concern that some families could be left behind. Atlanta News First political reporter Doug Reardon shows us a potential solution.
People will start seeing these rate increases on their next water bills. This is something the county has to do. In fact, they're under a consent decree to make improvements to their sewer system and their only water treatment plant. The county is trying to not leave people literally high and dry, but we've heard from residents who have $5,000, $18,000, even $52,000 water bills racked up. In fact, half of DeKalb water customers are delinquent on their bills, 100,000 people. The county CFO told me today that DeKalb is working with the Urban League of Greater Atlanta to get people on income-based repayment plans that won't exceed 4.5% of their income and even forgiveness in some cases. She's hoping that after this 10-year span, this won't happen again.
But with any sort of utility like this, it's best if we increase a little bit at a time, a little bit every year. And so I think beyond the 10-year period, we will see more reasonable periodic increases instead of waiting until it becomes a crisis.
And during this 10-year stretch, people's water bills are expected to double. So take the average right now of $70. That's expected to climb up to $182 by 2034. In Decatur, Doug Reardon, Atlanta News First.
Starting tomorrow, Atlanta News First becomes independent and ends its affiliation with CBS.
So what does that mean for you? It means more local news reporters in your communities and more local programming. Here's a look at everything we're adding on the weekdays. More morning newscasts, investigative journalism, and lifestyle shows, too. Now, in the evenings, catch First Alert Weather Extra starting at 6:30 p.m. with more forecasts impacting you and your neighborhood. Atlanta News First at 7 continues with 20 minutes of nonstop news right after.
And then get up to date on the day's top stories on Atlanta News First from 9 to 11:30 p.m. And end the day with ANF Overtime, your all-access pass to everything Atlanta sports. The goal, bringing you everything Atlanta to keep you and your family safe and informed.
We're not going to any network for our news. We're creating it for Atlanta, and we're creating it from a hometown company. And that's just fantastic, and it's different than what almost any station is able to do.
For a full list of new programs that impact your community, you can go to atlantanewsfirst.com.
Now, your First Alert Weather Super 7-Day Forecast.
Oh, things slowly but surely improving at Hartsville-Jackson. Seeing that plane take off, that is a welcome sight because we had some heavy blinding rain over Hartsville-Jackson Atlanta International not long ago, certainly causing some big problems there. But things are improving on First Alert radar. Still raining, but it's not as heavy as it was just an hour ago. Gwinnett County, DeKalb County, through southern Fulton County, seeing some rain. We picked up quite a bit of. In fact, here's a look at radar estimated rainfall totals. This is just over the past 3 hours. Portions of DeKalb County near Chamblee, more than 3 inches of rain. Riverdale near the airport, nearly 2 inches of rain. Then in northern Fayette County, more than 2 inches of rain. So these were very big rain producers. They still are. And the problem is they're nearly stationary. And that's why flooding is such a big concern. We still have that flash flood warning. This is for northern Hall County and Dwight County for flooding we have happening there. Heaviest rain right now is across the northeast Georgia mountains. Lower rain chances this weekend, but we'll still see some rain and storms tomorrow. Don't think it'll impact your morning or the lunch hour, but as we head into the afternoon, we will see some rain and storms, about a 30 to 40% coverage. I wouldn't cancel any outdoor plans. Just be aware rain may be an impact. Drier on Sunday with only a 20% chance of rain. Does stay pretty unsettled, very hot and humid, will be in the 90s. And then we do have 2 first alert weather days next week. There is Erin, as you can see, not moving on shore. That's going to stay in the Atlantic. Erin will not impact our weather, but as we head into Thursday afternoon and evening, we will see some rain heavy at times. Friday, another first alert weather day. We have a front moving through that will bring rain and storms, and it will drop those temperatures as well. We'll go from highs in the 90s to the low 80s by next Friday.
A new report from the New York Fed estimates that over 4% of consumer debt was in some stage of delinquency, most notably among student loans.
Atlanta News First consumer investigator DeKalb Harry joins us here live in studio with more advice on how to tackle this delinquent debt people have.
Well, a lot of it is happening now. We'll get into that in just a second. You know, if you had good credit, or if you have good credit, a 30-day late payment will do some damage, but when you go to 90, you're doing serious damage to your credit for the next 7 years. So according to the New York Fed, which is under the reserve, household debt hit $18 trillion this quarter, and there is one category that is way up: students who took out college loans. Back in May, the Department of Education restarted the collections process for student loan borrowers who got a break during the pandemic. TransUnion now says 20% of student loan borrowers are 90 days late. Over the last few months, thousands of people have seen their credit scores tank 150 points or more, and it stays there, like we said, for 7 years. So nothing is going to happen right now, but again, you don't want to ignore this if you're in this position. And the first thing you do, if you haven't already, is to contact your lender. If it's a federal loan, you can apply for an income-driven repayment plan. And if you can't pay, you do have the option to file for bankruptcy. I'm going to read this carefully, but you must prove to the court that repaying the loan would cause, quote, an undue hardship. If that's the way you go, you want to talk to a bankruptcy attorney first. This is happening to a lot of people, and it's been happening. We talked about this first back when they made the announcement back in April.
Yeah, you hate to see it, but you got to take precautions. Now, for anyone in default, what should you not do?
You shouldn't take out another loan.
Oh, that's a big one. Yeah.
Well, that's a big one, because you have a loan, you're liable to take out another one. So you don't want to take out another loan, obviously, because you're going to end up in a really bad spot. If you have a car and it is paid off, congratulations. Do not pay off or do not pawn your car title, because that'll put you in a lot of trouble. And financial experts say pay your rent or pay your mortgage on time, and pay it first. That's what they say. Keep a roof over your head. I'm DeKalb Harry. Atlanta News First investigates.
Hey there, everybody. The National Hurricane Center has updated their hurricane outlook for the Atlantic season. The initial outlook, which was issued in May, called for 13 to 19 named storms and 6 to 10 hurricanes. They dropped those numbers just a little bit, now calling for up to 18 named storms instead of 19, and up to 9 hurricanes instead of 8. As you can see, this is very minimal. And our average number of storms each season is 14, so we are still calling for an above average season. Also important to remember that it's not so much about the number of storms that develop, but where they actually impact, and that's something that we'll always be watching for you. The number of storms typically starts to increase and impact us more as we get closer to September, which is the peak of hurricane season, and we will always keep you up to date on the tropics in the First Alert Weather app.
Now, your top 7 at 7 with Tracy Hutchins.
Your top 7 headlines begin with an elementary school student arrested. Gwinnett County leaders say the child brought a gun to school yesterday and then fired it in the bathroom. That child now facing charges, and their parents may as well. A man accused of killing a Fulton County deputy in 2022 found not guilty today. It comes after the suspect, Alton Oliver, you see him there on the stand, took the stand this week and told his side of the story. One person in custody tonight after a road rage shooting hurt 2 young girls in East Point. That shooting happened this morning, and authorities say they arrested a suspect at 4 p.m. MARTA tells us this Vine City escalator is back up and running. We saw it for ourselves. It comes after multiple people were hurt on the escalator after a Beyonce concert. The transit agency claims all inspections were done properly beforehand. Look at this geyser that erupted in downtown Atlanta this afternoon. It closed Peachtree Center Avenue at Decatur Street. Well, today, water rates in DeKalb County, they start to increase by 10%, and they'll continue to rise every year for the next decade. Some people will pay twice the amount they're used to. Tomorrow, the Corky Kell Classic wraps up at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You can watch the high school football games in live coverage starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Atlanta News First. Get updates to all of these top stories by downloading our free Atlanta News First app.
In just weeks, passenger trains will be getting a major upgrade on the East Coast. Earlier this week, GDOT announced it is looking into the possibility of an intercity rail that would include stops in cities like Atlanta, Athens, and Macon. Now, there are renewed hopes for a proposed cross-country route. It wouldn't stop in Atlanta, but it could be running before the FIFA World Cup next year. Brian Abel joins us now live from Washington with a look at the state of high-speed rail here in the U.S. Brian?
But let's start with that Northeast corridor. It connects a Acela line. It connects some pretty major cities. We're talking about Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore, D.C. But what is missing from the larger picture is connections to other major cities across the country, say Atlanta to Dallas or Chicago to Kansas City or Denver, all the way over to California. Now, that may be changing, as you mentioned, but if it does, would anybody ride it?
A long-awaited upgrade will roll out on Amtrak's Northeast Corridor August 28th. Modern interiors for 28 new Acela trains running from Washington, D.C. to Boston at a top speed of 160 miles per hour. The Acela line, a rare success story for high-speed rail, not seen elsewhere in the U.S.
It's in a market where trains can definitely be successful. That's not necessarily the same when we start looking at some of our larger population centers throughout the rest of the United States.
Like on the West Coast, former California Governor Jerry Brown pushing for high-speed rail back in the 80s. Despite voters approving roughly $10 billion in 2008, it's yet to be built.
Once you make the commitment, it then becomes a question of, do you have the political will to see through the investments?
At a national level, that will appears to have jumped the tracks. Just this year, the Trump administration pulled the plug on both $4 billion in funding for California's rail project and $63 million for a project connecting Dallas and Houston. And experts are skeptical a proposed cross-country line from New York to L.A. will ever gain steam.
I struggle with believing that we can build out a rail network that competes effectively with air.
And Blair, that coast-to-coast line, it would be about 3 days to get from end to end. So our expert there, Mattingly, said it would be good for tourists maybe to see the country, but not a lot of other travelers. And I should also note that California has sued the Trump administration, saying that they pulled out illegally from the California Rail Project. Back to you.
We'll have to see how this shakes down. Brian Abel joining us live from Washington tonight. Brian, thanks so much.
It is a first alert weather day. Thankfully, the rain not as heavy in the metro, but still seeing some very heavy downpours in northeast Georgia.
Yeah, flash flood warning continues for Hall and White County. There is going to be some improvement through the weekend. We'll have another check of the 7-day forecast and more after this 2-minute break.
Kennedy, and you're watching The Financial Edge. When was the last time you had your life insurance policies reviewed? Joining me now is Chris Hoffman. Chris is the founder of Hoffman Financial Group, an Atlanta area firm that focuses on preparing people for a successful and happy retirement. Chris is also the popular radio show host of Money Unleashed. Chris, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Life insurance policies should be reviewed. It's important that they're in line with your goals. So what should people expect during a review with you?
Yeah, I'm amazed when I talk to people and ask them, do you have a life insurance policy? Yeah. They say yes. I say, when was the last time you reviewed it? And they say never. I bought it, put it in a drawer, and that's the end of it. Right. Very dynamic product. your life changes as you evolve, your kids get older, your needs and wants change. So using life insurance is not a set it and forget it. It needs to be more actively managed. So we work with people that call us that have life insurance policies to review them. Some of them can be upgraded. Some of them we just give a big check plus to and say you're good. Or circumstances have changed. So there's varying types of policies, whether it's fixed or variable or index universal life. We can look at all of those, assess them, and make sure you've got the best plan for you and your family if they're needed at all.
And quickly, do you need life insurance if you're retired?
You may. Estate planning can be valuable. That's a more complex discussion.
Yeah.
Or you may use it for cash value life insurance and draw tax-free income from it over your retirement life. So very powerful. That's truly life insurance. That's just not providing the death benefit.
The first step is a conversation. If you'd like to make sure all your financial documents are in order, Hoffman Financial Group has a great offer for you. For the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater, you will receive a complimentary personalized retirement plan. The number to call right now, 770-749-7224.
Now, Atlanta's most accurate forecast from the First Alert Weather Team.
It is a First Alert weather day. Hall County, White County still seeing a flash flood warning. We had 1 to 2 inches of rain there, some locally higher amounts. We saw that across the metro as well over the past several hours. Thankfully, the rain is much lighter right now in Atlanta than it was earlier this afternoon. But watch this little cell in South Cobb County. This is really intensifying quickly. This is between Smyrna and Mableton. So some big heavy downpours still possible over the next several hours. But that heaviest rain right now in northeastern Georgia. Again, there's that flash flood warning. Southern White County, northern Hall County for flash flooding there. Let's head back to First Alert meteorologist Isaac Williams. Isaac, you are watching the weekend.
Yeah, 40% chance of storms tomorrow and then some lower rain chances for Sunday. It's going to be hot and humid all weekend with highs easily into the 90s with morning lows down in the 70s. Again, no planned canceling type rain or storms expected tomorrow, but we will keep you posted inside the Atlanta News First weather app. The next First Alert weather day is at the end of next week. A front is going to move in and we have chances for rain and storms increasing again. Looks like that's going to start up on Thursday. The good news though is that while we will be fairly hot and humid with fronts and widespread rain chances, we are going to see less hot weather with highs actually dropping back to 88 Thursday, 82 next Friday. Spotty storms to kick off next week, Monday through Wednesday.
Breaking now at 7, the highly anticipated summit between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin is over.
Both men just spoke after their nearly 3-hour-long meeting. They say they made some great progress, but did not reach an agreement on a ceasefire in Ukraine. Much more of this coming up. And tonight at 11, change is coming to a park in Cobb County. We'll tell you when cars will no longer be allowed to drive up a mountain.
And get an updated First Alert forecast for your weekend plans starting tomorrow at 8 a.m. on Peachtree TV.
Have a great night, everybody.
I'm Erin Kennedy, and you're watching The Financial Edge. How to balance guaranteed income with long-term growth, no matter what happens in Washington or on Wall Street. Joining me now is Chris Hoffman. Chris is the founder of Hoffman Financial Group, an Atlanta area firm that focuses on preparing people for a successful and happy retirement. Chris is also the popular radio show host of Money Unleashed. Chris, how do we balance growth and protection? It seems like it can't work.
Yeah, and you mentioned income too. So typically when I first meet with clients, they've been focused on growing their money, growing their money in their 20s, 30s, 40s. Now they're in their 50s or late 50s or 60s. You've got to add 2 key components to the total plan. Yes, you need to grow your money and set it against benchmarks, but you also need to add a good solid income plan, which will address your tax strategies, and you need to have protection in there. We call it protection rotation. When the market's going up, maybe take some of those gains you've achieved in your stock portfolio, move them over to things that are less risky, and that puts you in a position of dollar cost averaging. When the market falls, you can move that money back in. So you need 3 things. You'd have to grow your money, you have to generate income as tax-free as possible, and you have to protect it.
Right, and this addresses retirees' #1 fear of running out of money.
That's right. with that type of balanced plan, it typically calms clients down, less emotional, enjoy your retirement, don't stress the stock market so much.
Right. Well said, Chris. Well, if you want to be less stressed about your money, all you need to do is call the number you see there on your screen. Chris has a great offer for the first 5 callers with a portfolio of $500,000 or greater. You will get a customized retirement plan. If you'd like to learn more about having that protected growth strategy for your retirement, call 770-749-7224. Again, that number, 770-749-7224.
Okay,